Hi, I'm Ali from On In Your Superpowers, and today it's an absolute pleasure, and I really do mean that, to be sat here chatting to the wonderful Rachel Musson from ThoughtBox. Now, if you haven't heard of ThoughtBox, we'll put the links up later on, and I so want you to listen to what this lady has to say. I met her a couple of years ago, and, well, Rachel, I was blown away because one of the things that struck me and that I came away with was you are a teacher, and that was your, but it was to encourage kids to ask questions. So, and the thing that came away with me, not tick box education, get them to ask questions, get them to be involved. And the interviews that we're doing at the moment are around the fact that we've got all this news, none of it good, but we're not hearing what's really going on with real people and how it's affecting the people that you work with. So if I could just hand over, and everyone needs to know what you do and who you are, so please.
Oh, bless you. Thanks, Ali. We'll love right back at you. And I think when we met, there was a real symmetry between the why of what we're both doing, because I think it matches. And yeah, like you say, when ThoughtBox first started, our first tagline was teaching children how to think, not what to think. And as you say, in an education system that is a little bit tick box and didactic, what we need to be encouraging on people to do right now is really find their own sense of resilience, their own sense of purpose, their own sense of agency. And that starts with being curious and actually asking questions about the world around them. And one of the key elements of our work is really encouraging that as a core skill. We've got a sort of skills-based curriculum that we work with schools to help children to develop these wider skills of resilience and triple well-being. But it comes down to three key skills that we look at: critical thinking, empathy building, and linking thinking. So like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture. And like you say, right now we're in a world where there are a lot of questions that nobody wants to ask because they may be a little bit uncomfortable, or we haven't got a simple yes or no answer or a black and white answer. And I think one of the things that we're really working on with ThoughtBox, and the pleasure, is to encourage asking questions where there isn't an answer, because it's all about developing that curiosity, especially I think at the moment. Kids are at home with the family, with the uncertainty, with this idea of trying to stay at school but they're not at school, and so now is a time to perhaps be looking a little bit wider than the day-to-day life that we're in. And I'll tell you in a little while what we've been doing recently with kids to sort of help them explore the world while they're stuck at home. But it does all just come back down to this idea of being curious and looking at the bigger picture. And I think this is what, when we first met, we were sort of talking a lot about that need for resilience that comes with being able to stand on your own 2 feet. And I guess that was kind of one of the first conversations that we had.
Yeah, it's a massive thing. I mean, obviously I can't work face to face with clients at the moment. We're doing everything online, which for a dinosaur like me is fun. The kids, they've got this, haven't they? They're down with it. They're so cool. But the thing that I'm getting an awful lot of is they're not used to being at home with their families and their siblings. So it's a weird thing. I normally only see that kind of interaction when people retire. They've lived together forever, 50 years married, but they've never actually lived together because one of them's working there, one's here. And it's the same with these kids. At the moment, everyone's in the house together, and the dynamics. So there's a lot of kids that are really struggling with that, and adults. As you say, am I going back to school? What's happening at school? I'm missing my friends. And they're terrified about all the news, about the C word, the coronavirus. But I can't help thinking when I sort of drill down with these children that a lot of the issues are, and the younger ones, they're not switching the news on in the morning, they're hearing it from us, and they're feeling our fear. And when a child feels an adult's fear, then they get proper frightened, especially when an adult can't answer. And it's going to be harder for our young adults and teenagers because they are watching the news and they are trying to make sense of it, and they do have questions. But I know a couple of times on Facebook I've dared to question something and I've been shot down by. So, I mean, what kind of thing are you seeing from your guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I was talking with a climate psychologist last week about this need for questioning and trust. And actually, it just made me think of that, because she was saying, especially with young children, if they are not being told things unless it comes through the filter of parents, if the parents aren't telling them the truth, that then creates a huge ripple effect of distrust. And she said this little 6-year-old had said to her, look, if you don't tell me the truth, mummy, I can't trust you. If I can't trust you, I won't talk to you about things that I'm scared of. And if I don't talk to you about things that I'm scared of, then I'm all alone. And that really simple but poignant message, I think, is something for us all to listen to. And I think, particularly as parents, there's a need or a wish perhaps to protect children from things that seem big and frightening, and certainly when we don't know the answers. But I think one of the things that I'm well aware of from all my years of teaching, and also that comes through time and again with the children we work with now, is that being protected and wrapped in cotton wool doesn't actually help. It just makes the inevitable take a little longer to happen when you're suddenly thrown into the world and you've got no sense of resilience or kind of awareness. And so what has been really interesting in this space, we developed a free program that's a 30-day learning from home program, and it's exploring the world without leaving your home.
Cool.
In this, it's an invitation every day. It's a little bit like a thought of the day. So we ask a question every day, and with that comes some broader questions and then some activities. And the invitation is for kids and their families to be talking about some of these big issues. So I think today's question is, what does love mean to you? So questions that you wouldn't normally talk over when you're having your cornflakes in the morning.
A 5-year-old's going to say ice cream. Mum's going to say, well, I thought it was my husband, I'm not sure now.
And I think, and also like just inviting into the family space questions that don't need an answer, and questions, we've got a great one coming up this week, is what's the link between humans and stardust?
Wow.
These are kind of big questions, because I think right now let's start exploring a little bit beyond the mundane that we can control, and actually helping children to see that it's okay to not be in control, and it's okay for parents to not know everything. And actually what you can find in those relationships is a lot deeper level of trust when you just open that door, which I guess resonates with.
Completely hit it on the head for me there with the control and the trust thing. When this started out, we were focusing on adults and getting them to realize that the reason they're stressing out to the level that they are is because they don't feel in control. And when they don't feel in control, then they don't feel safe, and they're going to fight or flight mode. And we've been trying to encourage adults to realize that's what's going on and take control. But it's an ongoing battle. And again, I think this is where you and I came in the very beginning, because I was like, we're therapists, we're out there, we're helping people take back control of their issues. Aren't we doing brilliant? Woof, woof. But we need to get to the kids, because if we can teach the kids at a very young age to be resilient, to trust in themselves, that it's okay to ask that question, or to not understand, or to have a different opinion or a different belief. That's completely okay. Imagine that world. And I know at the time you were probably one of the first people that didn't laugh at me, which is why I think we clicked. But now more than ever, that's so important, because kids need. I've got children afraid to go out because mum and dad are. So when the lockdown's over, they're going to be afraid, because if we'd have really, really got this into schools and got kids to have that resilience to, well, okay, you think that, but I'm not sure. Imagine how much better they'd be now. We've really got to keep driving with this. It's going to get worse. So
you're so right, because I think this space we're in now, and I call it hibernation rather than lockdown, because it sounds a little more restful rather than restrictive. It's really tap your cheeks. It's a space, I think, where the world, when you're looking out of the confines of your window, can seem vast, or it can seem oppressive. I think we're, like we sort of saying before we spoke today, that this notion of what fear can do, but also what trust can do, and whether they are the antithesis in this space, that's a sort of a different discussion to have. But helping young people and helping adults to see that we've made the mistake of thinking we can control everything around us, and that's perhaps part of the lesson that we're all learning right now, is we're not in control of life. Life goes through us, and we work with it, and we move with it. And particularly, say again.
That terrifies people.
I think it does, because it suddenly feels a loss of agency, and a loss of everything perhaps we've taught ourselves about what humans can do. But
our belief systems of how things will pan out have just gone out the window. Now what?
But what I get very excited about when you look at when you look at young children in particular, they are innately curious, they are innately open, they're trusting, their hearts are on their sleeves, their emotional vocabulary and literacy is wide open, ready to be heard. And what we actually do, particularly in our mainstream schools, is close that down and make them feel that sense of open trust and sort of acceptance is childish. But I get excited because when we're starting to work a lot, particularly with older children and adults, we're doing quite a lot of workshops recently with businesses, it's still in there. So this trust, it's not a case of something to learn, it's a case of something to remember, because it's an inherent way that we all are. And I think when we've had those blocks, and some people, I think the blocks are so strong that perhaps it won't just come naturally, but it is an innate way of to be trusting and to be open to the world. But you're right, I don't pretend that this is just an easy switch that we can flick.
I think it could be.
It's work.
I think it would be an awful lot easier. And again, I know I'm sort of preaching to the converted here, but it'd be an awful lot easier to take very small children and start to teach them trust and to question and to value their opinions than it would be to try and change the belief system of somebody that has walked a path for 50 years that has been safe.
Yeah.
Although saying that path's not safe at the moment. So who knows?
And also, I don't know whether you find this because you're working with younger children and with your Ollie coaches, but there's something very, very infectious about children teaching us. And if you've got your Ollie kids going home and telling their parents, here is my superpower, here's how I feel, no parent really can say, oh no, that's totally nonsense, child, go back in the box. It's going to be infectious. And I think that's that. I wanted to ask you about this and your thoughts on resilience and the kind of the infectiousness of resilience, because I think we're in this space now of infection, and can we flip that to have a positive... Can
we reframe it to something positive? I love that. One of the things we did this year, it's been a while since we've spoken, we should chat more often, is we created a thing called Ollie Kids. And basically we took children in a school, and they weren't the children that we would naturally see as Ollie coaches one-to-one because they were having behaviour issues or emotional issues, but they were kids that were a little bit unsure, a real lovely mix, but not ones that would naturally end up in front of a coach or a therapist. And over a 10-week program, we did it at lunchtimes, we basically taught them to be mini Ollie coaches, ending up with them getting an Ollie shirt as well with Ollie Kids on it. And what they became was ambassadors for the school. And the beautiful thing was, every time we taught them something, they had to go and practice. So all the other kids knew who they were, and they got their little certificates at the end. But I'd go back into the school to work with the one-to-one kids, and I'd see the Ollie kids in the playground, and they had worked out, there was 10 of them, and they took turns each day to come in their T-shirt and be in the playground for the other kids. And other kids were going up to them, and they were taking it home, which then got the school to invite us in, because then the parents wanted to know, and off we went. And now this school, since we met, it's gone mad in schools all over, where we've got the smallest, youngest children working out their superpowers, could be big or small, and that's okay. You can ask questions, and that's okay. And it's all right to trust. Really, it is. Yeah, I know. All the way through to the adults and the teachers using superpowers to solve issues. Self-empowerment rather than being fixed. Because that's another thing. At the moment, therapy is about fixing. And the whole thing that we're doing is about, no, I'm not going to tell you what to do. We don't give advice. And I'm not going to fix you. But I'm going to invite you to ask this part of you that's got a problem, what's wrong, and solve the problem yourself. Now that's trust, and that is asking questions, and that's empowerment to get through anything. And that's what we need right now. So yeah, we're doing a lot of that.
Isn't it? That's something, and I guess that's where we resonate with both of our practices. We're inviting a practice. We're not inviting an answer, and we're not offering the solution. We're inviting the journey into a different approach. And I think
we're completely trusting that the person that we're sat opposite has all the answers inside them.
Yeah, and in a way, that being seen in that way is probably one of the first steps to this space of empowerment, because it's allowing each individual to feel that there's nothing broken, there's nothing that they need more of. it's just in there. It's just, you know, pulling it out. And I wanted to ask about your course that you're doing at the moment, because I know obviously you're not able to get out and about, but you're doing an online resilience course. And is this
Yeah, no, that was really strange. We've been thinking about putting some stuff online for a while, because otherwise I end up charging all over the country. Oh, well, country, Northern Ireland and Iceland now, getting Ollie, delivering parents training and teacher training. So we're thinking about putting it online, but we hadn't done anything, but this has kind of pushed it ahead. But we just sat back, but what do we actually need? What's going on? And the reason that people are so anxious and stressed and concerned is because they don't know what's going on, and we're out of control. Nobody's got any answers. We're worried about our future. There's a whole new dynamic of going on, of us being locked in together with people that supposedly we love. Of course we do, but you know. So could we put a course together that would help with that? And for me personally, as you know, fortunately being a little bit poorly, I've been self-isolating for 6 weeks. So how the hell this happened, I do not know. But the thing is, I got stressed about work. And if stress gets too big and you can't do anything with that stress, and I mean, this is rich from a therapist, isn't it? But yeah, talk about physician, heal thyself. I know all this, and yet I allowed myself to get stressed about work. I couldn't release that stress because I couldn't do anything about it. So people are getting stressed about being locked down and worrying about the future. They can't release it because they can't do anything about it. And what that does is it affects your immune system. And if it affects your immune system for long enough, your immune system will weaken and you will get poorly. Now, with a bit of luck, by getting poorly, I mean you'll get a cold. But it seems to me, I'm no doctor, but what seems to be going on at the moment is that the coronavirus is particularly nasty if you have a secondary infection. So for goodness sakes, we don't have a vaccine. We don't have any answers. But what we do know, let's do. And the whole course is about how to take control of your emotions rather than be controlled by them. It's really good insight into why you believe what you believe, which is taking us back to the why you don't trust, because no, we need to be in control. And there's an awful lot of really good exercises on there for you and the kids, and to do jointly, that will allow you just to let that stress go and to realize I can control this. I can't control that. Let it go. I should have looked at my own course. Bottom line.
Well, now you can try it out. Yeah.
The feedback's been fantastic, and people are using it for that. They're using it to bring down their stress levels. They're using it to actually utilize this time better, to really enjoy this time rather than just get through it, and to look about what they're going to do differently in the future. They're doing it to manage relationships. Really beautiful emails about parents now having a language to communicate with their little ones, and this lovely cool Tina lady phoned me the other day, and she called her teenager growing pain. She said, I now have a language for my growing pain. So it's all encompassing. So yeah, hopefully it's helping a lot of people.
What you just sort of touched on there really resonates, especially in this space, and your course is offering a way to boost the whole immune system. And I think, you know, one of the conversations I have a lot is what it means to be well. And you know, being healthy, you know, we know that being healthy is you know, eating well and fresh air and exercise and sleeping, but our emotions matter as much as, you know, our bodies matter. And I think what you're showing there, and what we're perhaps, you know, starting to realize, perhaps in a negative way for some, is that if we're not well, you know, here, we can have as a great, you know, diet and aerobic exercise as we want. It doesn't make any difference.
I think it's somewhere along the line. You know, you say the mind-body connection, and everybody sits and goes yin yin. That's not me. I'm not touchy-feely. I'm not like that. But I completely believe I could be super physically fit, but if mentally I'm depressed, I'm not healthy.
No.
And your emotions really can. I'm a classic. I'm one of these people where if I've got a slight cold and you say, "Oh, Ali, you don't look well," my emotions will go, "Oh my God, I don't look well. There's something wrong. There's something," and I'll go to full-blown pneumonia. Literally, I can physically bring that on. And I think a lot of people do that. And I think that's going on at the moment as well. I think a lot of people are very worried and they're bringing it on. The mind-body connection is so important. If you've got one part healthy and the other part not, you're in trouble. You need to look after both.
And I think what is so invitational in your work and in this course, and I guess in the work that we're doing with kids at ThoughtBox, is that this course, this wellness isn't something extra, it's something that's in us already, and it's just inviting it out. And it doesn't need to be complex, it doesn't need to be onerous, it doesn't need to be a chore. It's something that actually you can really start to, you know, bring into your daily life as a practice, and it will be with you forever. And so it, you know, partly I get very energized by this space, because I think it's given us a pause to actually just slow ourselves down and think, okay, we're not healthy, the world was not healthy, you know, this virus is showing us literally that we're not well. So let's start thinking, what do we need to be well? And I think it starts in the home, and that, you know, ironically we are stuck in the home, so let's make those homes healthy and well. And yeah, I'm excited that you've got this out and about in the world. And
well, you know, it's helping a lot of people, which is lovely, and I'm loving the feedback. We'll send you over a copy, because I'd love your thoughts on it. But can I say, please take care, stay safe.
Likewise.
Don't get stressed. You have a pet therapist, even if she doesn't listen to her own stuff, she will from now on.
Yeah,
and I look forward to catching up again very, very soon.
Likewise. Be well and take care.
Take care, lovely lady. See you soon.
Nice to speak to you.
Bye.
See you.